What does it take to empty an entire city? Not a neighborhood, not a street, an entire skyline. War did it. Volcanoes did it. Markets did it. And in one case, the earth itself opened up beneath the farmer's feet. Let's begin with Varosha District in Cyprus at number 9. The Varosha District was a bustling beachfront packed with luxury hotels, shiny cars, movie stars, and residents living the Mediterranean dream. All of a sudden, the same streets are sealed off by barbed wire, and high-rise buildings start crumbling. Up till today, swimsuits still hang in shop windows. Before 1974, the district of Famagusta was Cyprus's Golden Coast. Tourists flooded in, celebrities stayed here. It was one of the most glamorous resort areas in the eastern Mediterranean. Then came the military coup on July 15, 1974, which aimed to unite Cyprus with Greece. This led to a conflict in the Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974. In a few days, residents fled south to escape advancing forces. They expected to return in weeks, but they never did. The area was fenced off by the Turkish military, who wanted to use it as a bargaining chip for a future peace settlement. But negotiations failed, leaving the area abandoned for decades. No redevelopment, no new residents. For decades, it became a forbidden zone. Hotels frozen in time, dining tables still set, nature slowly swallowing swimming pools. Right beside it stands the fortified city of Famagusta, still inhabited, still alive, but forever staring at this silent twin across the wire. A paradise locked in pause for 50 years. And if you thought that was weird, it is only the beginning. Number 8. Hashima Island, Japan. When you see it from a distance, it does not even look real. A slab of concrete rising from the sea. Gray, boxy, brutal. It looks strikingly similar to a warship. And that is why locals call it Gunkanjima, the battleship island. Hashima is about 15 kilometers away from Nagasaki. In the late 1800s, prospectors discovered coal beneath it. Mitsubishi bought it. Then they transformed the island into a vertical city. At its peak in 1959, thousands of people lived on just 16 acres. Picture a stadium of crowds all squeezed into the space of a football field. That made it one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Families packed into concrete apartments. Schools, shops, a hospital, even a rooftop playground all stacked tightly together. Why build up? Because there was nowhere else to go. The entire island is basically a rock. But coal demand collapsed in the 1970s as Japan shifted to oil. In 1974, the mine shut down. Within months, everyone left. The entire population plummeted to zero. No gradual decline, just silence. Many refer to the island as a site of reflection, as Korean and Chinese laborers were reportedly forced to work there during World War II. Today, limited guided tours allow visitors to view parts of the island safely from walkways. Hashima has gained international attention through documentaries and films, including serving as inspiration for the villain's hideout in the 2012 movie Skyfall. Concrete towers still stand, but typhoons ripped windows out. Staircases crumble, vegetation claws through classrooms. The ocean pounds the sea wall that once protected this hyper-crowded micro-city. Here's the mockery. At its peak, Hashima felt futuristic, almost utopian. Today it feels post-apocalyptic. From one of the densest cities on Earth to absolutely uninhabited in a single year. The next ghost city was not built by miners, but by ambition. Number 7, Ordos Kangbashi, China, whose story is the opposite of Hashima Island in Japan. Instead of people leaving, what if they never really arrived? In the early 2000s, China's coal boom made Ordos incredibly rich. Local officials decided to build a new district from scratch, Kangbashi. Wide boulevards, museums, opera house, government buildings, space for 1 million residents. On paper, it looked like the future. By around 2010, developers completed massive apartment blocks, infrastructure ready. But only about 20,000 to 30,000 people had moved into a district designed for 1 million. Empty plazas, unused stadium seats, rows of dark apartment windows at night. Western media quickly labeled it a ghost city. So what happened? Much of the housing was bought as investment property. Prices were high. Many units stayed vacant, waiting for the value to rise. It was not war, not a disaster. Just speculation and timing. Unlike Varosha or Hashima, Kangbashi was never truly abandoned. Over the years, more residents gradually moved in. Schools opened, businesses followed. But that early image stuck. A city built for 1 million, standing almost empty. From a fenced paradise to a battleship of concrete to a city waiting for people who were slow to come. And we're only getting started. That brings us to Plymouth, Montserrat at number 6. Imagine waking up to a gray cloud swallowing your capital city. That was Plymouth in the 1990s. Before disaster struck, it was the capital of Montserrat. Government offices, shops, a port, schools, colorful Caribbean houses facing the sea. Suddenly, the Soufriere Hills volcano, which had been quiet for centuries, roared back to life in 1995. At first, people hoped it would calm down. It did not. By 1997, massive eruptions sent pyroclastic flows, superheated avalanches of ash and gas racing into the city. Roofs collapsed under volcanic ash. The streets disappeared. The airport was destroyed. Entire neighborhoods were buried. And what about the population? After the eruptions, Plymouth wasn't a city anymore. It was a locked-off ruin. No residents, no return, just an empty grid under ash. The government declared the southern two-thirds of Montserrat, including Plymouth, an exclusion zone due to ongoing volcanic risk. No one is allowed to live there. The official capital of Montserrat remains Plymouth. However, it is still uninhabitable. Government offices relocated to Prades in the north, which serves as the temporary administrative seat. Today, buildings stick out of hardened ash like fossils. The clock tower stands half buried, and boats sit stranded far from the new shoreline, trapped by debris. All are attracting limited supervised visits and research interest. But the part people missed is, unlike war zones, nothing was bombed. Nature did it, slow at first, then unstoppable. A capital city erased, but still on the books. And the next emptied city was not destroyed by nature, but by something far more predictable. Number 5, Bodie, United States. Think of a Wild West town frozen mid-sentence. That is Bodie. In 1859, a group of prosecutors, including William S. Bodie, discovered gold in the hills north of Mono Lake, in the eastern Sierra Nevada. Within a few years, Bodie's population exploded. It had banks, newspapers, a red light district, and around 2,000 structures, including more than 60 saloons. It was rough, violent, profitable. Why did people risk it all? Because one strike could make you rich overnight. But gold veins do not last forever. In the late 1880s, production declined. Mines closed, investors left, fires destroyed parts of town. Homes went dark one by one. Storefront stage shuttered. The schoolrooms emptied. By the 1940s, it wasn't a town so much as a shell. A few structures standing, and almost no life inside them. Here's the twist. Bodie was not bulldozed. It was not rebuilt. Instead, California preserved it in a state of what they call arrested decay. It is still protected till today as Bodie State Historic Park. About 100 buildings remain, still stocked with furniture, goods, and even old canned foods on shelves. Walk through it, and it feels like the miners just stepped out. From a roaring gold rush city to fewer than zero permanent residents today. And the next city proves that even industrial empires can vanish into sand. Now, at number 4, imagine a theater, machinery, a swimming pool, and neat wooden houses, all sitting in one of the driest places on Earth. That was Humberstone in Chile. Humberstone began as La Palma Nitrate Works in 1872, renamed after British engineer James Thomas Humberstone. Located in Chile's Atacama Desert, it thrived during the nitrate boom of the late 19th and early 20th century. Nitrate, also known as saltpeter, was white gold. It was used for the production of fertilizer and explosives. Global demand went through the roof. At its peak in the 1930s, Humberstone and its nearby works supported workers, families, shopkeepers, schoolchildren, all living in a company town carved out of pure desert. So, what killed it? Science. In the early 1900s, German chemists developed a synthetic method to produce ammonia, which slashed demand for natural Chilean nitrate. Prices crashed, mines shut down. By around 1960, Humberstone was abandoned. While the desert preserved everything, it is essentially an empty city. Wooden houses still stand, sun-dried, upright, yet completely vacant. The machines look like they're waiting for a worker who never clocked in. Rust replaced where grease used to be, and a grand theater facing empty seats. After being declared a national monument in 1970 and a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2005, the government has partially restored Humberstone for visitors. Today, it attracts travelers interested in industrial archaeology and desert landscapes, and shows the resilience of life in one of Earth's driest regions. It is also protected as a symbol of Chile's industrial past. And the irony is this: in a place where almost nothing grows, an entire city once did. From booming industrial powerhouse to silent desert relic. And the top 3 get even more unbelievable. Number 3 is Old Adamanabe in Australia. What if you received sudden news that your entire town has to move? Not because of war, not because of a natural disaster, but because the government needs to submerge your valley and use it as a lake for storing water. That was Old Adamanabe. Established in 1885 as a pastoral and mining service town on the Yucambine River, it grew into a solid rural township in New South Wales. Farms, shops, a school, and churches made a tight community built over generations. Then came the Snowy Mountains Hydroelectric Scheme, one of Australia's biggest engineering projects. The plan required a massive artificial lake, Lake Yucambine. And what's the problem? The town sat right in the basin. So what did they do?
They relocated it, house by house. Some buildings were physically moved, others were demolished. Families shifted to higher grounds, and that's what became the new Adaman Abbey. By 1957, the old town was gone. The population became zero. Today, it serves primarily as a holiday and fishing destination, offering cottages and access to Lake Yucambine's renowned trout waters. When the lake level drops during drought, you can still see it. Chimneys, foundations, fence lines, and ghostly street grids under open air. What makes this town different is this was not a disaster. It was deliberate, a sacrifice for national development. A town drowned on purpose. But the next city was not flooded by water. It was swallowed by sand, grain by grain. All right, and number 2 is Chinguetti in Mauritania. Picture a medieval desert city with dry stone libraries full of handwritten Qurans and sand creeping under the doors. This is Chinguetti. Founded in the 13th century, it became a major stop for trans-Saharan trade routes linking North and West Africa. Caravans carrying salt and gold passed through. Scholars gathered here. Pilgrims bound for Mecca also gathered here, giving it the title the 7th Holy City of Islam. At its height, thousands lived within its stone walls. It was not just a town. It was a center of Islamic learning in West Africa. So what happened? The trade routes shifted to coastal routes. Colonial borders changed economic patterns. Modern ports replaced camel caravans. Gradually, the population shrank. Today, only a few thousand people remain in the broader town area. The historic core is far less populated than in its golden age. But the real threat is the Sahara itself. Dunes move, slowly, relentlessly. Some homes have been partially buried. Doors open to walls of sand. Entire streets have vanished under drifts. Here's the surprising fact. Chinguetti is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Yet it still fights nature every single year. Not destroyed overnight. Not abandoned in one dramatic moment. Just slowly consumed. From a thriving intellectual and trade hub of the desert to a fragile settlement holding onto its past. But that's subtle compared to the final city on this list, which was buried in front of cameras. The most dramatic city on our list today at number 1 is San Juan Parangari Cutiro in Mexico. And here's why. Can you imagine farming your field when the ground suddenly cracks open and starts smoking? That's exactly what happened here in 1943. The original San Juan Parangari Cutiro was an active town in Michoacan state. Communities, a central plaza, and a stone church anchored daily life. Then a farmer noticed a fissure in his cornfield. Within hours, ash and cinders shot into the sky. A new volcano named Paricutin was being born. Scientists rushed in because this case was rare. It was a volcano whose entire life cycle would be observed right from day one. Over the next few years, lava flows crept toward the town. Not instantly, slowly, inevitably. Residents evacuated in stages. They salvaged what they could. By 1944 and 1945, lava had engulfed most of the settlement. The population dropped from thousands to zero. Only the church tower and part of the altar remain visible today, rising from a frozen black lava field. It looks unreal, a stone sanctuary trapped in rock. The community was rebuilt a few kilometers away, forming the Nuevo or New San Juan Parangari Cutiro. Today, tourists are drawn to the Paricutin volcano, horseback excursions across the lava fields, and visits to the iconic church ruins and local artisan markets. But here's the wild part. Unlike ancient ruins lost to history, this burial was photographed, filmed, and documented step by step. A town erased by a volcano that did not exist the year before. From paradise resorts to mining islands, from desert trade hubs to lava fields, and every one of them was once full of life. So what's shocking about these cities? None of these cities were supposed to fail. They were booming, rich, and confident. Resorts packed with tourists, mining towns overflowing with cash, capitals backed by governments. Then one shift changed everything. War, volcano, market crash, engineering project, sand, lava, silence, population, from thousands, sometimes millions, to almost nothing. It makes you wonder which city today feels permanent but is not. Drop your answer below, and if you enjoy seeing how quickly the world can flip upside down, subscribe and stick around. The next story might be closer to home than you think.